Okay, I'm going to show you how I've worked out the stitches in the video that'll be in the link below. First of all, I'm not a content creator. This is my first YouTube video that I haven't made just to share things with my family or whatever. So excuse me for the setup. I had to jimmy rig everything. But I loved that crochet pattern that's linked. It's Tunisian crochet. I learned after I Googled it a little. I had never heard of Tunisian crochet. I'm also not as skilled as she is, so everything will look a little rougher, but I'm going to slowly go through every stitch. So hopefully people like me that want to figure it out or want to use this stitch can see what it looks like. For mine, I'm using the Peaches and Cream cotton yarn that you can get at Walmart. You know, you can get it in big, I don't know what these are called, skeins, like that, or you can buy the little ones. I want to make about a 6-foot trellis for an indoor plant. Instead of having my pothos hanging down, I'm going to have it on the floor and growing up. So I was looking for a pattern that would work for that, and I love the open areas here. And then it's just so cool, the borders, the shell, the border. So I watched it over and over, and I think I mostly got it right. You'll see that I struggle a little bit with getting some of the stitches in. It is a tight fit in places. So, but here's, you know, at the beginning, she starts on a hair tie. I made myself a round that I can start on. So the beginning of mine looks a little different. It's just because I didn't want to do it on a hair tie. I wanted it to be crocheted. So I just did a loop and then kept adding chain stitches and joining them down. So the basic idea here when you're watching her do this, she's doing a forward pass, a backwards pass, a forwards pass, a backwards pass. And so that makes one repeat. Each of these is made up of one forward pass, a backwards pass, forward pass, backwards pass. And there's a foundation row, which we have here, and then a gathered row that I call a shell. You call it a chevron. And it leaves these nice open holes, and that's what I want for my indoor trellis, so I can weave the plant in or tie it off. So you could think of this as how she set up the hair band. You really, what you want is stitches to work into. You've got your, there's one stitch to work into that this border gets worked as a chevron, and one over here, and then 7 here. So it's always a repeat of these border stitches, 7 border stitches. So here's the first row. So you start out by making this first chevron, and she's looking for the middle of it. And just so you know, this comes out to 11 stitches, so there's not an exact middle. You're either going to have 5 on one side, 6 on the other, or 5 on this side and 6 on the other. Or in this case, it looks like I might have done 4 and 7. That happens a lot. I just been trying to split the difference, and really it doesn't make a lot of difference. I will say there's probably something that she does different than I do, because I've noticed on this side, it's got that nice crochet or edge, and on this side it doesn't. So she's probably doing something that I've missed, but I couldn't figure that out. Okay, so you start with your pulling up one loop at the end, yarn over, go through the middle. So you find that she shows this pretty well, how she finds the middle, and you'll see where the middle gets created later. Through the middle, pull up a loop. Now you've got 3 on the hook. Yarn over, pull up the middle, and now you've got 5 on. And she does this, so she does this repeat of yarn over, through the middle, pull up a loop, and she counts that as 1. So you'll see in her video, she'll say repeat 5 times. That's what she's repeating 5 times. And then you have your starting loop too, which is how you get to 11. So far I've got 2, 4, 6. So I need 2 more. Yarn over, go through the middle, pull up a loop. Yarn over, go through the middle, pull up a loop. So now I've got 11 on this, and it does get really tight. next we're going to do this foundation row here. So the forward pass is just pulling up 7 loops in the middle. It's always a little tricky for me to see exactly, well, where am I supposed to put my hook here, but as long as you end up with 7 hook loops on the hook, you'll be fine. So I'm going to go 1, go through my chain, pull up a loop 2, go through my chain, pull up a loop 3. When you get to 4, you should be in the middle. Go through the middle, pull up a loop 4. It's really hard because I'm primarily a crocheter not to just accidentally yarn over here. And then I'm going to do the next 3. Pull up a loop. Find a spot in there to go through and pull up a loop. And it helps me to talk to myself while I was doing this one. Find a spot to go through, pull up a loop. So now I've got my 7, I should have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 loops that'll be my foundation row when I make my backwards pass. Now here we're gonna go through the middle, pull up a loop. And this is just like the extra loop we have here. This is how you end up with 11 on there even. So yarn over, go through the middle, pull up a loop, 1, yarn over, go through the middle, pull up a loop, 2, yarn over, go through the middle, pull up a loop, 3, yarn over, go through the middle, pull up a loop, 4, yarn over, go through the middle, pull up a loop, 5. So that's the beginning, the forward pass on the first part of the repeat, which again is 1 forward pass, 1 backwards pass, 1 forward pass, 1 backwards pass. So this is where she does the nice border here. So you yarn over and pull through 5 or 6. And I have not, once I got started, I just quit worrying about counting and just tried to make it about even. Oh, so now I've got 1 loop on, I yarn over, pull through all the rest, and yarn over to complete that part of the border. So that creates this chevron here. So now to make the foundation, we're really making the tops of this shell. And the way we do that is you're basically just crocheting 2 together. Since we've got all the loops on the thread in Tunisian crochet, I guess, and again, I don't know a lot about Tunisian crochet. This is my first time trying it, but you put all your loops on your hook, then you pull back through in different ways to make these patterns. So I'm going to pull through the loop that I just created, and I made it a little too tight. Pull through the next one, yarn over, pull through the loop I just made, and pull through the next one, yarn over, pull through the loop I just made, and pull through the next one, yarn over, pull through the loop I just made, and 1 more, yarn over, pull through the loop I just made, and 1 more, yarn over, pull through the loop I just made. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to say yarn over, pull through the loop I just made, and 1 more, yarn over, pull through the loop I just made, yarn over, and pull through. So now I'm ready for that next row. I gotta get a little slack here on my thread. Okay, and I have tried different things. Do I make an extra loop here? I just ended up here. I just pull through half. I've tried to go back and watch what she does, and I've struggled with it. So anyway, I pulled through half, yarn over, pull through the loop I just made, which completes the first part of the chevron, pull through the rest of the loops, yarn over, and pull up a loop. And that's the first forward pass, backwards pass. So now we're gonna find the middle. And you can do that by really pulling apart. Probably if your thread tension were better, or you know, your needle size or yarn ratio was different, this might be easier. But I've got one loose loop on the hook, so now I'm going to yarn over through the middle, pull up a loop, that's one. Yarn over through the through the middle, pull up a loop, that's two. Yarn over through the middle, pull up a loop, that's three. Yarn over through the middle, pull up a loop, that's four. Yarn over through the middle, pull up a loop, that's five, I think. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yep, that's 5. So now, on when we go to do the shell, to get our this nice knot we get here, we're going to work into these front tall stitches, and if you do Tunisian crochet, from what I've read, you probably know this already, but you're going to work into these tall front stitches, and there's 7 of them here, and that's what creates the knot here, and then that nice loop that we can gather for a shell. So one thing that you need to know is this is worked with, you need to put your yarn in back of your yarn. You need to put your hook in back of your working yarn, then go under that tall stitch, yarn over, and pull up a loop, nice and tall. Find, again, hook behind the working yarn, through the front stitch, yarn over, pull up a nice tall loop. Hook behind the working yarn, find your front stitch, which I've lost a little bit of track of, but it's right there. Yarn over, pull up a loop. Working yarn in front of your hook. Hook goes into that tall stitch. We're on the middle one now, which makes sense because we've got 3, so this is number 4. Yarn over, pull through, and pull up a stitch. Hook behind the working yarn in front, go through the front stitch, yarn over, oh, and I kind of split the thread or something, there we go, pull up a stitch. Working yarn in front, hook in back, through the front stitch, front tall stitch, yarn over, and pull up a stitch. Hook behind the working yarn, through the front stitch, yarn over, pull up a stitch. So now we should have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that'll make our shell here when we do our backwards pass. I'm going to find the middle again. Okay, there's my middle. Pull up a stitch, yarn over, 1, yarn over, through the middle, pull up a stitch, 2, yarn over, through the middle, pull up a stitch, 3, yarn over, through the middle, pull up a stitch, 4, yarn over, through the middle, pull up a stitch, 5. So this will be our second backwards pass of the repeats. Again, you're going to look for, you're going to yarn over, oops, let me get a little thread pulled out. Yarn over, pull through half the stitches, which is really hard this time for some reason. That looks like about half. Yarn over, pull through the stitches, the rest of the, you're going to pull through the rest of the border stitches. I've got a little, I've either done something where it's really hard to pull through. This peaches and cream yarn, it's a little hard for me to work with sometimes. Okay, I got through, I'm going to pull through. So that secures my border, and I can tell that I put more on this side than that side, but it'll all work out in the end. I've got different places like that too. So it's a pretty forgiving stitch. So I'm gonna chain 3, and I wanna make these chains nice and big so that when I come back for my next foundation room, it's not too hard to get into. So there's 1, 2, and 3. I said I was going to make it big, but there we go. Now, to get this gathering, we're going to go through all 7 stitches that make up that middle. Then yarn over and chain 3 more. Now, again, I found I need to leave them fairly loose or I can't get the hook in for the next row. So there's 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to pull through half the border stitches, yarn over, pull through the loop we just made, and pull through half the border stitches. And that's it. I hope that helps if you're like me and was having trouble figuring this out. Hopefully that helps. I couldn't find the pattern written down anywhere, and I don't really know how to make patterns, so I don't know how to say all the stitches or write them down in a way that experienced knitters and crocheters would understand. But hopefully that will help someone.